everybody. This is Mike Maddox, president of ASK, and I have here with me Josh Gembala, and we are here to do the Q4 security update.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Josh. You brought a little friend with you, I see, too.
Yeah.
Christmas iguana.
Decided to change things up in the new building. We got
like
new table, new decorations.
We are in our new headquarter building. This is the first security update we've done from the new location, so I hope you're ready, because I am. I've been prepping all morning.
Yeah,
so.
I think this is the only thing that's changed for security is where we're broadcasting.
And you've gotten shorter. You're
Yeah.
smaller now than you were in Q3. So I don't know what's going on.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about. 2018 was a very active year in terms of cybercrime and cybersecurity and advances in cybersecurity.
Yeah, I would say that it's definitely been busy for us. I don't know if you look at volume, if we're really actually seeing more volume or if we're just seeing a better representation of the volume that was already there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to determine, but it's certainly active no matter how you look at it. It's an everyday event now.
Oh yeah, if you have email, you've seen malware.
That's exactly it. And so one of the things that's been in the news very recently, I want to have you touch on briefly, is SamSam, because that made big news. So why don't you tell the folks what it is and what it means to them?
So this was actually something we talked about, I believe, in Q1 during the Atlanta ransomware incident. But it's come back around because the U.S. Justice Department has indicted 2 foreign nationals that they believe wrote the SamSam ransomware and were responsible for these campaigns. Just looking at a quick list, there were hospitals, municipalities, city of Atlanta, the port of San Diego. They all had issues where they ended up with this ransomware.
Yeah, as a result of SamSam and the ransomware.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely as a result of the ransomware that they wrote, but I know we try to avoid victim blaming, but also as the result of poor security.
Yeah, and that's really what we're all about, right? In ASK and in ASK ESS especially, is what can you do as a business to not be a victim of things like SamSam and cybercrime? So what are a couple of tips that you would give viewers?
So really, I mean, the attack vector that they had for SamSam is something like a remote desktop, web applications, the FTP servers. These are all technologies that we frequently see weak security being put around.
Okay, these are the targets.
Right.
You know there's weak security in those areas.
So that's the way they've been in. Yeah, I mean.
Okay. So what do you do as a business owner? I mean, you're running a business. You're not thinking every day about your security on your firewall, or your server, your FTP server. You might not even know what that is. What do you do?
I think that the first step for most organizations would be to try to actually identify where these security weaknesses are.
Through an assessment.
Yeah, you could do something like a risk assessment. Depending on what industry you're in, there are industry groups that provide standards you can compare against. A lot of these organizations were subject to compliances.
Yeah.
It's questionable as to how they've continued to pass compliances with something like OpenRDP without
Sure.
Multi-factor authentication, which is where it requires not only a password.
Every compliance. If you don't know what that means, every compliance is going to have that in it. And having a compliance certification is different sometimes than having good, solid security posture, which gets me back to the assessment. Having a qualified firm come in and do a comprehensive review of your security posture as a business is something that I would recommend every business owner do, right?
Yeah,
you would agree
definitely.
with that?
And it's really your responsibility at this point. I mean, it's not the 90s anymore. You can't just stick anything on the internet that you want and not expect that it's going to get.
Like any other major aspect of running a business, this is your fiduciary responsibility to take care of security.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. So give our viewers a couple of trends, a couple of statistics out of 2018, because some of them may be surprising to people watching us.
So I think skip the statistics. We know that the cost of breaches have gone up. The percentage of small businesses that are breached go up. But I think more important than that is that the attackers are using better techniques. So they're not relying necessarily on the way that they used to do things, where we could write pattern matching into the detection. They're using good accounts to try to compromise other individuals. We refer to it this year as the year of the Maldoc, which, if you don't know, is a malicious document. It's a document that's intended on installing some type of malware locally on your machine to either steal data and send it offsite or to download other payloads.
So the bad guys are getting better. Their techniques are getting better. They're getting more.
They're adapting faster.
They're adapting quicker.
Yeah.
Right. And so as a business and as cybersecurity experts, as the good guys, the white hat guys, our methods are getting better too.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you want one takeaway, one small business thing you can do that makes your business more secure, you need to have multi-factor authentication on your email, especially if you're using something like Office 365.
And in that case, if you're an Office 365 company, you have multi-factor authentication available to you without any additional charge. It's basically two ways to validate you are who you say you are. So you put in your ID and your password, and you need another method to validate you are who you say you are. It might be a code on your phone that pops
Or a
up,
push notification.
or a push notification. There's a lot of ways to do it. It's very simple, it's very easy to implement, and it's probably, like you said, probably the one big takeaway if you take nothing else.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd recommend?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through firewall audits regularly here. We're pushing multi-factor authentication. Really, you need to be on it. One of the things that we've seen kind of become more lax and that people really need to be aware of is you need to stop putting websites out on the internet and thinking, okay, they're there and they're just static at that point.
Yeah.
There is perpetual maintenance that needs to be done on those to keep them secure. So
And they need to be tested.
Correct. I mean, they do, but at least if we start with basic patching, making sure that that's being covered by someone, that would be a good start.
Well, and that's a good segue into what I call the 3 pillars of good security. So 20 years ago, it became imperative as businesses became dependent on their IT infrastructure to run their business. Every business was completely dependent on technology. It became imperative that they had a method and a process to keep their servers patched, to keep antivirus up to date, to keep malware up to date, to basically take care of the care and feeding of the environment, servers, desktops, network devices. That had to be done. And typically that couldn't be done in-house because you needed to hire too big a staff. So that's where companies like ASK came in, and we did managed IT, and we do managed IT, and we do that care and feeding. And there's a lot of companies that do that. That was 20 years ago. That's still necessary today.
Yeah, patching backups are absolutely necessary. I mean, they're not going away.
And that's the second thing. But 10 years ago, the business world became aware of the fact that it was no longer okay just to back up your environment to tape or to some external drive and put it in your trunk or take it home. That's good, you have data, but can you recover that data in a catastrophe? If your server goes down or your environment goes down, how quickly can you get back up and running was the question. It's disaster recovery and high availability. How fast can I get my business back up and running if something catastrophic were to happen? So backup and rapid recovery solutions came into the marketplace, and that became necessary for businesses to have.
And ransomware is really a great example of where that being able to turn that server around from a backup very quickly is important. The recovery time for some of the organizations that we talked about from SamSam was days, weeks, even longer. And some of them actually had relatively okay backups, just no structure around that.
No quick way to get back up and
Right.
running. So the question is, how long can you be down, can your technology be down for your business? And most business owners will say, not very long. It varies depending on your industry and your business, but not very long. So you need a solution like a backup and rapid recovery. Now we come to present day. And I think the third pillar of good cybersecurity posture and good IT management is live security monitoring. We call live security monitoring. Basically, it's a way and a system to monitor everything going in and out of the environment, to make sure that ransomware doesn't exist in there,
Right.
that hackers aren't getting in, and a firewall alone and just perimeter security alone is not enough. You need a complex system of computers and people watching the environment, and that's what we call live security monitoring.
Because the firewall, IDS, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, most organizations, it's similar to how I was talking about the static website. They're put in place and then forgotten about. No one's actively monitoring them.
So weak spots exist and
Right.
they get exploited.
And then when they do get exploited, the dwell time, the amount of time that someone is actually in the environment, it can be very long, 200, 300 days. pretty much it's over at that point.
And the good news with all of these technologies, the care and feeding of the environment, the patching, the monitoring, the backup and rapid recovery, and life security monitoring, prices are at the point where small, medium businesses, and businesses of all sizes can afford this. This is not priced out of the realm for business people for businesses to be able to put into their environment and protect the asset that they have and the families that depend on them to do that.
No, definitely not. And, for instance, some of the solutions that we offer do contain, some aspect of a risk assessment with them where
Sure.
we will identify those, all that low hanging fruit and help the customer remediate it, because I'm having just a more secure environment to start with is, it's beneficial to us and them.
Absolutely. So I think that's some things you can take away from our Q4 update. We're going to be back in 2019. We hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Does your Christmas lizard have a name, by the way?
No, but we could probably I'm sure we can find some.
Maybe viewers can email us.
We can talk to Katie at Elevate Marketing.
She'll come up with one, I'm sure. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a great holiday season.
Thanks, everybody.